Years ago, I made a mistake of Googling the question, the best city to be single, and I thought I had made a very wise choice to live here in the Seattle area. Let's take a look at the list. Number 1 is Portland, Denver, Austin, Boston, Seattle, New York. I've lived in Seattle and New York. Let's see how many of these cities I've at least visited. I've been to Portland a few times. I've been to Denver 2 times. Never been to Austin. I went to Boston for a conference when I was working on my PhD. I was born in Madison. Minneapolis I went to one time. This was 6 years ago. I was driving home to my family. And I stopped in Minnesota. And the first thing I saw when I was in Minnesota was this very obese man, African-American man, very obese, drinking a Coke out of a 2-liter bottle. And I thought that's why it's called Minnesota, right? Like soda, like drinking a lot of soda, right? Now looking back, I wonder if it was somebody who was killed by a police officer 2 years ago. Kind of looked like him now that I think back at it. But anyway, there's a problem with this list. What does it mean to be single? Well, there's at least 2 categories of single people, and I think this only applies to one of those categories, right? There's people who are single who want to go out and look for other people, and this list is probably great for those, right? But there's also people who want to be openly single and not look for somebody and be open about it, right? What do I mean by that? Well, right now I'm working at a tutoring center that kind of accepts me for who I am. But at the beginning of my work there, this was 4 months ago now, I had reservations about opening up as a solosexual. I kept everything very vague, right? And nobody deserves to live or work in a situation where they have to be vague about what they're doing or who they care for and all that, right? So a better question, which Google does not have an answer to, which I pose, is what is the best city to be solosexual in, right? And my best answer is probably some of the smaller towns. I'm thinking Wallace, Idaho kind of town. I'm thinking, 30 years ago we had a very infamous bomber who was arrested in a small cabin in a rural town in Montana, right? Lincoln, Montana. And I think part of the reason he moved there was to get away from all the judgment, right? When he was, when he first graduated with his PhD, he worked for his brother in a foam company, if I remember correctly. And he got in some trouble with sexually harassing one of his female co-workers. His brother had to fire him. But I don't think he really had interest in that female coworker. I think what he was looking for was acceptance. And he probably took it a little bit too far because that's not even what he wants in his life, right? At the time, sexual harassment was not very well known. And anyway, so I posed the question, what's the best city to be solosexual? Unfortunately, Google doesn't have an answer. So maybe some of my viewers could give some insight to that. Thanks for watching.